Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got our final regular season player props video for you guys this year. Been keeping track since January, been super hot, over 40 units since then. Keep that going in the playoffs as those are looking to start here next week. We will be back on Monday with some play-in stuff. Definitely take a look at all four of those games that will be going on in both the conferences there to start. But make sure you do like and subscribe to that page for today. We've got a couple other game videos up for you on this pretty big NBA slate to close out the work week and regular season as far as we're concerned here. Make sure you head over to thelines.com. We got that player props tool for you to make sure you're getting the best odds available and the best juice on your bets there from those odds makers. Also head to play.thelines.com as we have the opportunity for you guys to win that $25 gift card. If you head over to the NBA Daily Pick'em Challenge, get all of those correct, we will go ahead and give you that $25 gift card. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Now, I'm still scratching my head about Kevin Porter Jr.'s props. I mean, the last time he played against the Nets, he was at 26.5 points and assists, I believe. And I was wondering why, because he's averaging 26 points per game in his last four. Well, he goes out and drops 36 points and smashes that prop. Now we're still at 27.5, and he's averaging 28 points per game in his last five. I understand it's a much tougher matchup now at Toronto, but the Raptors are on a back-to-back here. They've also been allowing about 10 assists to point guards in their last 15 games. That includes 15 to Trae Young earlier this week. OG Anunoby is out. Precious Achiuwa is questionable. Who knows who else might take a bit of a night off here with them favored by 12 points over this Rockets team. They give up 4 more points per game on back-to-backs. They actually give up a full assist per game more, play at a faster pace, score more when they're playing the Western Conference this year. And, I mean, they're just coming off a emotional win over Philly. So I don't think we're going to see like a true lockdown effort here from Toronto. And maybe they will, but maybe it'll be directed towards the rook, Jalen Green, who's riding a 5-game streak of 30-plus points. I think he'll actually get more attention than Porter, who, again, in his last 5, averaging 28 points, 6.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists. I like the combined points and assists more than just the 19.5 points, but I think he'll probably get over that as well. Again, on the season, he's averaging 10 more points per game in 8 games now without Christian Wood, 23.5. Also getting about 3 more rebounds per game and averaging 7 assists per game, shooting much better in those games. And he's been shooting really well in his last 4 as he just knifes to the rim pretty consistently. And teams aren't really worried about denying him because the Rockets are so easy to score on the other end.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's interesting that Toronto's playing on this back-to-back. They really need this game. They need to keep pace, and I think they even have a shot, I believe, at the 4 seed, very, very outside shot, as Philly is still 2 games up with 2 games to play. But they also are 2 games up on Chicago, who they need to maintain pace on to maintain that 5 seed and get that 4-5 matchup. I think you'd rather play Philly than the Celtics right now, even without Time Lord. Regardless, I mean, Toronto has something to play for, is my point. And so I think they will keep, they'll continue to play. But Houston's been keeping it closer than the ridiculously huge spreads they've been up against. And regardless, KPJ is getting about 37.5 minutes in those last 5 that you talk about, where he's averaging those really, really good numbers. So I think all of his props are still low, to your point. I'm not sure Vegas is considering exactly what we keep looking at each time we pick him, which is not only his usage in minutes and the way that the Rockets are playing at the pace they're playing. He's playing without Christian Wood, and we keep loving that stat that continues to, his props are closer to what his numbers are with Seawood in than without. So I think we got plenty of value still here. Another game we're going to find some value in for sure. Got a couple players from the Bulls and Hornets matchup, as we told you in the game video, like the over in that one, which already sits at about 232.5. Although it might have been bet up until at this point. I think, it's still over, liking points in this one big time. And I'm starting with LaMelo. I know we wanted to take a look at Terry Rozier. He's actually his numbers are a bit down as of late, which is also why LaMelo's numbers are definitely up. I like his assists because the over 8.5 assists for LaMelo is at -105 on DraftKings right now. I think the points, rebounds, and assists is a little bit actually safer, just all things considered, at minus, which is why it sits at -115. But the reason I like the assists, I mean, if you look at his last 4 on the road, especially where he's killing it, he's been playing good teams on the road: the Heat, the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Nets. Actually, the Knicks, obviously, we know what they are. D in Miami. Brooklyn playing really well at home on defense as well. So he's putting up 21, 10 assists, and 5 boards in 33 minutes a game over those last 4 road games with a 27% usage rate. He's got 9 assists in 3 of those 4. The only reason he didn't get any 4 more against Philly, he only had 5 because there was a 30-point blowout on the weekend that, the Hornets did not come to play in that one at all. I also like his turnovers because it's only at 2.5, which on DraftKings is terrible. It's at -160. On FanDuel, I believe it is it's 3. It's over 3.5 to get it back to about -120, but still not very good odds because I think 4 turnovers for him is super, super likely, which is why I would consider the 2.5 turnovers as well. The only time he's played in Chicago, I'll also say 18 points and 13 assists in 32 minutes in that time frame. And Chicago is allowing the 3rd most points per game and the 6th most assists per game to their opposing point guards on the season. So probably no Caruso tonight as well. All adds up to LaMelo, I think, having another big game with a high usage rate.
Yeah, that was in Chicago, but then 2.5 months later, he had 33 at home against Chicago with Lonzo out. And as we know, Lonzo and Caruso questionable. Lonzo out for the season. The Bulls are just terrible in the backcourt defensively. So I'm fine with either of these guys, LaMelo or Rozier, who will get his opportunities against Zach LaVine, who isn't healthy. He's playing on a bum knee, and that's part of the reason they've been so bad defensively in the backcourt. Yeah, I agree. I think you go overall with the PRA with LaMelo because sometimes he's scoring so much without Gordon Hayward and not diming up as much. And in fact, the last time he played Chicago, 33 points, 5 assists versus 13 assists the previous time. So I think there's a lot of fluctuation there that would make me want to lump it all together. I'm going with another point guard and Darius Garland. I'm not quite sure what to do with this game. I just know there will be a lot of points, and I know it's a game you want to target with overs with the Cavs and Nets. Look, I mean, the Nets, they don't have much in terms of guarding you in the backcourt. They're playing too many multi-guard lineups. Goran Dragic is out tonight, but Seth Curry back in, another bad defensive guard. Garland is just going to try to basically do some heroics here to keep pace with both Kyrie and KD because his running mate, Karis LeVert, just isn't healthy. He's who I really wanted to take for this prop, which is, at just 17.5 points, but he just hasn't, the usage rate has not been there. He doesn't seem willing to attack, even though he's put up great numbers his last couple against Brooklyn. Garland, not bad numbers in terms of 23.5 points, nearly 10 assists per game on a 32% usage rate in 3 versus the Nets this season. So a points prop of 24.5 points or the points and assists, 34.5, seems pretty safe. He pretty consistently gets over that. He has 37 points and assists in his last 2 road games. And Brooklyn is allowing the 5th most points per game to point guards in their last 7. Kyrie will be expending plenty of energy on offense, so that leaves things open for Garland to do his thing on the other end.
Yeah, no, I'm with the Garland pick, mostly because, the LeVert pick just doesn't feel safe to me. I think the 17.5 point prop feels low because if he was healthy, we would love to pounce on it and think it should be closer to 20, obviously. But I think, there's good reason for it to be that low. Leading to the Garland, I would probably grab the assists as well. I mean, they're at 9.5 alone. I mean, I would grab the points and assists, to be honest. I do see a world where, Brooklyn, for what they can do on defense up top and on the wing, they do kind of come out and try to press him and get the ball out of his hands. And if that's the case, I still see him be able to sort of get in the lane against a guy like Kyrie and get those assists. So I think that'll help you out a bunch there. Lastly, I'm realizing we're ending on our favorite, on our regular season props MVP. Swear this was not even orchestrated. It's just that once again, we find ourselves in a situation with Demar Derozan, whereas the reason we bounced on him all season is because it took Vegas forever to realize that having his points prop at like 24.5, 25.5 points was absurd, as he was getting 30 a game. They slowly brought it up 27.5, and we were like, great, we'll still take it. 30 plus in a win for the Bulls at a time where they were winning was great. Anyway, the point is it's the same sort of scenario here where DeMar is sitting at 27.5 points. He did have a bit of a down sort of time frame there, over maybe a couple of weeks ago, but over the course of the last couple of weeks, he's back. He's back to what he was when we were picking him every time, and this prop was sitting still too low at 27.5 points. Gets you minus 110 on FanDuel, by the way, minus 115 right now on DraftKings. That has not come around for them, so it's clearly it's the same exact prop with a better return for your money there on FanDuel. Just calling that out real quick. But his last 5 at home, where they're taking on the Hornets tonight, a game once again that we love points, 32 points a game in those last 5, 37 minutes a game, 30% usage rate. So if you're going to be playing 37 minutes a game with a 30% usage rate, he's putting up a ton of field goals, and he's shooting 56.5% from the field. I also love the fact that he's gone 41 of 45 from the free throw line over his last 5, which is good for 9 free throw attempts a game at 91%. In his last 2 matchups versus Charlotte, while he's been a part of Chicago, so this season specifically, 32 points a game in those as well, 5 boards, 5 assists, all the same stuff, even a higher usage rate, about 32.5%, shooting 64% from the field with about 43 field goal attempts in that time frame. So he's king of the mid-range. 27.5 points is too low. Neither of us feel great about Chicago pulling this one out, even though we think it'll be close either way. It's basically a pick 'em with a slight lean towards Charlotte, especially with the 2.5 points if you can get it. So I'm not really looking player performance doubles here with DeMar. 27.5 points at minus 110 on FanDuel, though. I'll go ahead and take that for sure tonight.
Yeah, and if we do expect it to be a close game, because you can't really project a winner, and DeMar is the man in clutch time right now, even more so because, again, going back to Levine, not healthy in his last 3 games, shooting 26% from deep. So DeMar has to pick up the slack, and with Charlotte coming in, running and gunning the way they are, there's going to be a lot of slack to pick up. Bulls aren't stopping anybody. They need DeRozan and Vooch to be at their best if they're going to snap this losing streak and just gain a little bit of momentum before the playoffs, and hopefully end our player props regular season with some momentum as he has all season.
Yeah, I know we're both really looking forward to picking props. We're going to be picking every single game in the playoffs, but we're also really looking forward to picking player props in the playoffs where who's going to show up, who's going to be playing the bulk of the minutes. You've got a 7 to 8 max man rotation early on in the playoffs rather than a 10-1, right? So I think there's plenty of opportunities in the playoffs to find some value, especially early on player props. I know I'll be smacking Donnie Mitchell big time while the Jazz remain probably short-lived in the playoffs. So that is all the time. We've had a super great time with you guys doing player props during the regular season. We will keep it going during the playoffs and look to continue to stay hot with you guys. Make sure you are liked and subscribed so you can take this ride with us into the NBA playoffs starting next week. So until we see you then, happy betting.